Hello there. Today I'm lucky enough to have in my glass a really special wine. This is the 1985 vintage of Château Margaux, and I think I can honestly say this is one of the better vintages of the 1980s, probably close behind their 82, and actually Margaux's top wine of the 80s was probably their 83. I don't think Margaux needs a lot of introduction, but I think it's worth going back and remembering that in the 1970s the estate had been bought by André Mensopoulos, and that he had started a process completely restoring, renewing and revitalising the estate. Something that was completed by his daughter in the early 80s. And there really was a huge turnaround in the quality of the wines here. And one of the important moves in that was the hiring in 1983 of Paul Pontellier as the technical director. And it was he who put into place a lot of the changes that brought about this sea change in the quality of Château Margaux at this stage. I don't actually have information as to what the blend is for this vintage. Certainly the planting in the vineyard is about 75% Cabernet Sauvignon with 20% of Merlot, 3% of Petit Verdot and then 2% of Cabernet Franc. So normally it's reckoned the blend of Margaux is probably somewhere around about 80% Cabernet Sauvignon. Margaux tends to be the lightest and the most elegant of the first growths from the Médoc. It tends to have lower alcohol and slightly more perfume than its peers. 1985 saw a cool late start to the season, but the vintage took its quality from a warm, dry period in September and October. Picking here started on the 26th of October, but it's noted that the leaves on the vines didn't actually fall until November. So despite the heat and the dry conditions, there was plenty of availability of water for the vines. So the final ripening and picking all happened under ideal conditions. At this stage, winemaking would have been very traditional, with fermentation in large old oak vats, pressing in a basket press, and aging in oak, almost certainly 100% new, for up to 2 years. Now this is a wine that scores very highly with the critics. Our Wine Searcher aggregated critic score, for instance, is 95 out of 100, and those same critics give this a drinking window that lasts out to 2035. So I'm expecting a fully mature wine, but not one that's in the final stages of its decline. So let's have a look at it, shall we? Starting off with the colour, considering the wine's age, it still has a good depth of colour. There is a ruby core, it's much more sort of bricky in colour at the rim there. It's certainly no longer opaque. The wine is labelled as having 12.5% alcohol, which is a fairly normal alcohol level for Château Margaux, although it was a much more usual alcohol level in general back in the early 80s. So let's see what we make of the aromas, shall we? Those aromas really are something special. There's a combination of extreme savoury development and ethereal floral beauty. So it's almost a combination of delicate lifted rose petal, hints of red fruit, and then quite a pungent, savoury mushroom sort of note. Very developed aromas, but really very compelling. So let's have a taste. On the palate, initially you get that savoury, mushroomy note. There's a dusty hint, and you wonder, is this all right? But then beautiful, silky textured tannins, wonderful warming red fruit. There's an amount of warmth coming through from the fruit. There are hints of delicate ethereal red plum. Again, there's that sort of floral rose petal note. Because of the way that beautiful perfume has integrated with the tannins, the two together are lasting on a long, silky textured finish that's absolutely entrancing. The acidity is giving freshness. It doesn't stand out, but I can feel my mouth watering. Some of that is its interplay with those very fine tannins. There are dusty hints at the end. I'm not sure how well this particular bottle might have fared had it have stayed in the cellar for another 10 years, but it's certainly gorgeous now. It certainly still has some life, so maybe it would age. And those flavours are just continuing in my mouth. It's an experience that's very difficult to describe. It's almost a combination of texture and flavour. Very long, very elegant, and certainly something special. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found the tasting of interest. If you have, do please press the like button. If you'd like to watch more of these videos, do please sign up and follow our YouTube channel. It would be great if you'd do that. That way you can set yourself a notification and you can be alerted every time we post a new tasting. If you have friends you think might like to watch the video, do please pass it on to them. That would be great. If you have any comments you'd like to leave, please pop them in the comments box below. We'd really like to know what you think about the wines we're looking at, the tastings we're doing, or anything else that relates to that. I'll leave a link in the text below to the Wine Searcher webpage for this vintage of this wine, and that way if you want to purchase a bottle and try it yourself, you can find out where it's available near you and at what price. And also on those pages there's a lot more background information about the wine, about its pricing, about what the critics have said, about how it's made, the region, the estate, and all that sort of information to try and make you an informed purchaser if you want to go out and buy this. So thank you again for joining us, and I do hope you'll make some time in the near future to come and join us and watch another video tasting with us. Till then, bye for now.